You know, for the last 100 years, medicine has pretty much played by one set of rules. But right now, we are witnessing a fundamental shift, a complete rewrite of that playbook. We're moving away from a model that has defined a century of healthcare and into an entirely new blueprint for what it means to be healthy. And it all kicks off with one very powerful idea.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the revolution we're about to dive into. For so long, our methods were, well, kind of crude. Powerful, sure, but we were destroying the very information we needed most. So what happens when you finally learn how to read the body's own language? Well, that's the story of instructional biology.
Okay, so to really get where we're going, we first have to understand the mess we're in. The old model of medicine, it's facing a total breakdown. And it's happening on two fronts. One is scientific, and the other is economic. And believe me, the stakes could not be higher.
So this is the philosophy that's been running the show for a century. We've been treating the human body like it's a machine. A symptom pops up, and we design a synthetic chemical to go in and just shut it down, forcefully. It's an entire approach built on suppression, not on actual healing.
And here is the brutal result, a staggering scientific crisis. More than 90% of these synthetic drugs fail in clinical trials. And why is that? Well, it's because our bodies, these incredibly complex systems that have evolved over millions of years, they recognize these chemicals as foreign invaders. The body fights back. It's a process called homeostatic rebellion, and that is exactly what causes all the toxicity and the nasty side effects.
And right behind the scientific crisis is the economic one. All those blockbuster drugs built on the old model, they're about to fall off the patent cliff. We're talking about a potential loss of $400 billion in annual revenue. The industry is staring into this massive financial black hole, and the old way of doing things just isn't going to cut it anymore. So what's the big takeaway here? This whole chemical hammer approach has pretty much hit a wall. Yeah, it might force the body to do what you want in the short term, but it so often triggers this cascade of new problems, a systemic breakdown that it was never, ever designed to fix. But what if we could stop fighting the body and actually start working with it? This is where everything changes. We pivot from the problem to the solution. A completely new operating system for medicine, one that moves away from forceful suppression and toward elegant instruction.
I mean, the contrast here could not be more clear. We're leaving behind the brute force of the chemical hammer, and we're embracing the incredible intelligence of the biological blueprint. One is all about overriding the body's systems, the other is about activating them from the inside out.
So this new paradigm, it's called instructional medicine. And instead of introducing foreign chemicals, it delivers the exact biological signals. We're talking about proteins and peptides, which are basically tiny little instruction molecules that are already native to our bodies. These are instructions the body instantly recognizes and knows exactly what to do with. No rejection, no rebellion.
Think of it like this. Instead of trying to demolish a cracked wall with a sledgehammer, this approach just hands the body's own construction crew the original architectural blueprints. It's like molecular software code that tells the body, hey, here's how to run your own repair and regeneration programs.
Now, this all sounds absolutely incredible, but it brings up a really important question. See, all of this hinges on solving a massive engineering challenge, a paradox that stood in the way for decades and made this whole idea pretty much impossible until now. So yeah, if our bodies have these amazing built-in repair instructions, why haven't we been using them this whole time? Why did we ever resort to those chemical hammers in the first place? Well, the answer lies in a really fundamental technical problem. It was a problem called the bioextraction trilemma. And for years, manufacturers were just stuck. You see, you could make a biological extract safe by sterilizing it, or you could preserve its incredibly fragile instructions. The problem was, you simply couldn't do both. The heat you needed to kill all the germs would also completely destroy the very information you were trying to capture. So here's the old way versus the new way. The legacy method was basically a scorched earth approach. You blast the tissue with intense heat. And sure, it killed the pathogens, but it also totally wrecked the delicate structures of the proteins, leaving behind this useless, inert slurry. But the new method? It uses a gentle thermal guardrail, keeping temperatures super low to preserve those crucial instructions perfectly intact. Now, solving that extraction problem, that was the first world-changing breakthrough. But what comes next is how you turn that breakthrough into a platform that can systematically end disease. And you do that by supercharging it with AI. And this right here reframes everything. With the ability to extract these biological instructions, the company becomes less about chemicals and way more about information.
This isn't just a biotech company, it's a company that literally writes software for the human body. And the brain of this whole operation is an AI called ASAP. What it does is it maps the incredibly complex communication network that's happening inside our cells. It then cross-references known diseases with this massive library of biological instructions they've extracted, and it finds the perfect blueprint to fix a specific problem. And it does this at a massive scale, identifying dozens of potential new therapies all at once.
So what's the bottom line here? This AI completely shatters the old model of spending a decade and $1 billion to find one drug that might not even work. It transforms that whole process into a perpetual discovery engine, constantly finding new ways to apply these biological instructions. So when you combine a new way to read biology, a new way to write it, and an AI to scale the whole thing up, you get something truly world-changing. You get a blueprint for potentially ending disease as we know it.
And here is the masterstroke. Because these therapies use signals that are already native to the body, they have an unbelievable safety profile. And this allows the company to use this really clever regulatory strategy called the Merida Bridge. In simple terms, they can use existing safety data from similar natural compounds to build a bridge right over the early, high-failure stages of clinical trials.
And this is the result: over 130 potential therapies ready for late-stage trials. A process that used to take 10 years is now being compressed into just 3. This is a level of speed and scale that is just completely unprecedented, and it's all made possible by combining biology, technology, and AI.
Boris Markosian, the founder and CEO of iBio, he just puts it perfectly. The future isn't about inventing more foreign chemicals to force our bodies into submission. It's about finally learning to speak our body's native language, to provide the instructions for it to heal itself.
And this leaves us with a pretty profound question, doesn't it? We have spent an entire century treating illness after it appears. But with this new blueprint, are we on the verge of being able to proactively program health itself? This isn't just about a new type of drug, it's a new definition of what medicine can even be.